Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on with us. It has been a little while since we last chatted, and things have changed. The U.S. Department of Education has dismissed a massive $37.7 million fine against Grand Canyon University. Before we get into that reversal on the part of the U.S. Department of Education, can you help us understand what this fine in the eyes of the government was for?
You know, this thing all started 6 years ago when we reverted to our nonprofit status, and it was approved by everybody, including the IRS, who has the authority to do it and the expertise to do it. And so we tried to work with the department because everybody else approved our nonprofit status, which was important for a lot of reasons to the university. But when we couldn't get them to do that, we had to file a complaint. Once we filed a complaint, they started retaliation. And they opened up 5 different investigations that literally has cost us millions of dollars to defend ourselves. And one of the things that they looked at thousands and thousands and thousands of documents and eventually centered on, we think you misled your doctoral students around the time and cost to complete a degree. I said, listen, you can accuse us of a lot of things, but not that. We are a leader in that area, recognized that way throughout higher education, and presented at 7 major conferences around that. And so obviously we're not going to accept that. Not only did they say we misled them, but they fined us $37 million, which was the largest fine in the history of the Department of Education. Obviously, we said that we were not in the mood to negotiate a single penny of that. We wouldn't pay it even $1 because not only is it not true, the opposite is true. And so eventually, with the new administration, they took a fresh look at that historically huge fine against the largest Christian university in the country, which, by the way, they fined the other large Christian university in the country, Liberty, within weeks of finding us a record amount. And they said there's absolutely no substantial evidence here that Grand Canyon University misled any students. There have been no student complaints. We asked them for the student complaints. They didn't have any. And so they reversed the decision, which was obviously a huge win for us. And we're not surprised by it. We thought that would happen, but we're thankful that happened. And then we received great news again yesterday and just released this morning that the IRS has done an audit of the university's nonprofit status and determined that their original assessment was correct, and they closed out the audit. And now both of those things have been major wins for the university in the last number of days. So we're grateful for that.
Okay, so I have to ask you this, and we've talked about this in the past, but you mentioned obviously, Liberty University as well. When you look at what went on with GCU in particular, do you feel that this was an attack in some sense or a pushback on the fact that you are a Christian university? Did you feel like there was a faith-based element to this, a political even element to what you have described as a targeting of your university?
Absolutely. There is no other substantial reason for the incredible attacks that they've levied. We had a bipartisan letter signed within Arizona. So it was written by Andy Biggs, but then it was signed on both sides of the aisle. It was signed by the Democrats, including our 2 U.S. senators, Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego. It was signed by Republicans. Those people that are close to us and know us and know the contribution that we're making as a Christian university in Arizona, it's very significant. And they asked that our nonprofit status be awarded immediately. We invited the few people in Washington that were causing this to happen, to visit the campus and do their work here at our expense. They can talk to anybody that they want. They can look at any records that they want. And we just haven't been able to engage them in a way that they would view the university with an objective lens, which was very disappointing. And so we were left with no other, because I've been asked 1,000 times, as you might imagine, why is this happening? You've gone from near bankruptcy 16 years ago to now being the largest private university in the country. And as one who implements the Christian worldview perspective across all colleges and programs and through all of our coursework, we're having a significant impact. And that was not the way those people wanted the future of higher education to go.
When and that is an interesting point in all of this, right? Because we're talking here about a situation where the culture has been a little more hostile to faith, although there have been some shifts and changes in that recently, which have been interesting to watch. When the Trump administration came back in for the second time, was there substantial communication going on? Was there a shift in terms of GCU and the Department of Education? Or was this just the natural progression of them investigating and picking up what was left from the last administration? Just talk a little bit about that shift, because it would be interesting, your communications with the Department of Ed, to hear maybe how that differed under the Biden administration versus this iteration of the Trump administration.
Well, there's been a huge interest in what's going on here. Higher ed has huge issues. Tuitions keep going up. Debt levels of students keep going up. The willingness of states to subsidize universities goes down. And every time, tuition goes up and expense goes up, diversity goes down, and higher education doesn't fulfill its moral obligation to equal the playing field in our society. And so, as a private university, we figured we have come up with a model, financial model, that allows private Christian higher education to be affordable to all socioeconomic classes of Americans at no expense to the taxpayer, and that is something that was. There's an extreme amount of interest in that all over the country. We probably had 40 universities through here in the last 5 or 6 years to understand how we're doing this, why it works, why we had to raise tuition in 16 years, why our students take out less debt than the average state university student, and while enrollment trends continue to decline in most places, they continue to explode here. One of it is the financial model that's allowed us to invest $2.1 billion into the campus. It's the 21st nicest campus in the country. Grow from 3 colleges to 10 colleges, 100 academic programs to 350 academic programs. But what also is very attractive is that parents who raise their children in the church don't have to worry about sending them to college at 18 years old and have them come back in 4 years and not know who they are. The fact that they can send them to a Christian university and have what they have taught them for 18 years being reinforced at that institution, have their faith actually strengthened, has become an extremely attractive place for parents to send their kids. And so we've got kids from all 50 states. We've grown from 900 students on campus to over 25,000, and it just keeps growing. And so there is a huge amount of interest here. And locally, it's on the left and the right from a political standpoint. We're in the middle of an inner city neighborhood, one of the largest Hispanic populations in the world. It's an immigrant neighborhood. We poured into it millions and millions of dollars to provide opportunities for these immigrants. We've been able to live out our faith that way, which has been very appreciated in the state of Arizona. And so it was very interesting that when we asked the naysayers to come and visit, and spend time and talk to anybody that they wanted to, they just didn't want to do that. And so, it's this new administration is looking for creative answers to a lot of the challenges in America. The fact that we have a teacher shortage, we're the largest producer of teachers in the country. There's a nursing shortage. We're the largest producer of nursing students in the country. Those things all made this an attractive place to this new administration, because we're using higher education to solve real problems in the country. So yes, they're very interested in this, and they took a very objective look at this fine and this non-acknowledgement of our nonprofit status and said, this doesn't make any sense.
Now, I know we have to go in a minute here, but I want to ask you this, because from your perspective, this was a targeting. The Department of Education has pulled back from it. That was almost $38 million. It's the biggest fine, levied against the university, as you had said. What advice would you have for others about maybe not backing down? Because you guys refused to pay one penny towards this. You held your ground. What advice would you have for other Christian institutions who might be in similar positions in the future?
We so believe in what's happened here, and that God has been a part of this. We thought we had a good plan 16 years ago when we came here. The university was on the verge of bankruptcy. There were 900 students on the campus, and all this has happened in 16 years. Did we have a good plan? Maybe, but we could have never predicted it was going to turn out like this. And so we know that God is doing something real here in the furthering of his kingdom. and we weren't going to allow somebody to get in the way of that. We are being used by God in the furthering of His purposes, and because of that, we just weren't going to let this happen. Fortunately, it has gone our way, and things are getting back to where they should be, and we're looking forward to what God has planned for this place going forward.
Well, I so appreciate you taking the time, breaking down this story, and giving us an update. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your interest. We appreciate. Good seeing you again.